Someone looks down at the ongoing war beneath him. He approaches it from above, slowly. His hands are beginning to tear skin because of how hard he's holding the cords to his side. He has a fear of heights. The man is an El Salvadoran Air Force pilot. 2 months ago, that meant absolutely nothing. He had some flight time, mostly just piloting civilian aircrafts on short rides. Is that supposed to mean something now? I think I know what that was. The pilot is parachuting. He pulled his cord way too early, so he's got a ways to go with this view that makes his heart race. The noise was his plane crashing into the middle of a field. It had been shot down. When two planes are flying in the sky, like falcons fighting against each other in air-to-air combat, it's known as a dogfight. It is a dying breed, not common in today's world, like a lefty quarterback. Today, on the rare occasions they do happen, it's fighter jets, with technology doing all the work for you. You're shooting missiles at planes you can't even see with your own eyes. In 1969, over 2 Central American countries who were still a little behind much of the world with their World War II-era planes, we got to see the very last piston-engine dogfights play out. These are men, soaring like eagles in the sky. They are shooting machine guns at each other, firing missiles, attempting to get behind a plane, then chasing him to his death while they try to outmaneuver you. On the morning of July 17th, 3 days since the war had kicked off, with both armies still locked in a standstill, waiting for someone to tell them what to do, Captain Ferdinand Soto Enriquez of Honduras woke up. Just like every Air Force pilot on both sides, he had never shot a plane down. There was already one Honduran fleet out making a run, looking to intercept any Salvadoran planes over their country, and then advancing onto the border to gather intel. One of the pilots had not reported back. His name is unknown. We'll call him Vic. Vic liked to dogfight. Captain Soto and 2 wingmen behind him ran into their planes to go on their assignment and look for their brother. They didn't find him before they reached their first target. All 3 planes buzzed down and began shooting at Salvadoran vehicles near the border. One of his wingmen radioed to Soto to tell him that his gun had jammed. Soto ordered the man to pull back and wait for himself and the other wingman to finish their job. They looped around and went down for another attack in an identical fashion. With his fingers holding the triggers down, spraying bullets out like hairspray, his radio started beeping again. The wingman, who Soto had just sent back to wait by himself, was being chased by 2 Salvadoran planes firing guns and missiles towards him. Captain Soto and the other wingman dropped what they were doing and turned around. They arrived within seconds, sandwiching the Salvadoran planes in between the 3 of them. Soto, with his own man in the line of fire, did not care and began to shoot. The 2 Salvadoran pilots split off in opposite directions. Soto decided to veer off and follow the poor guy that went right. He took the turn with him and fired 3 bursts of shots. They hit the plane directly. It spiraled towards the ground. Just before the pilot was able to jump out and deploy his parachute, it crashed on the Honduran side of the border, blowing up in a ball of fire. Ferdinand Soto, for the first time in his life, had killed a man. What do you do after that? How do you handle it? Soto turned to the left and looked for the other plane. It had long retreated after seeing what just happened to its friend. Soto took a few circles around, kept hunting but couldn't find it, and eventually turned back and put his bird down. When he shared with his comrades the news of his aerial victory, they were in disbelief. They might have laughed before realizing he wasn't joking. Because what Ferdinand Soto had just done was the very first air-to-air kill that any Honduran pilot had ever scored in the country's entire history. That's not it. Ferdinand Soto had just logged the first air-to-air kill of any Central American Air Force pilot ever. None of these countries had ever shot down a plane in another plane until Soto just did it. It is one of the most impeccable stats I've ever come across, and it has nothing to do with sports. Hours later, in the afternoon of the same day, Ferdinand Soto started up his plane and took off again, alongside a single wingman. They each had a large bomb strapped to the bottom, ready to drop on another designated target near the border. Before they could get there, they spotted 2 planes. Soto was feeling himself. He ordered his wingman to drop his bomb now, just let go and start flying upwards. Soto did the same thing. The 2 approaching planes, both Salvadoran, never saw Soto or his wingman. But they were there, about 2,000 feet above, stalking their prey. Soto ordered his wingman to perform a split S maneuver alongside him, an extremely challenging move where you basically do a quick 180 barrel roll while dropping fast to turn yourself right around in place. They both executed it flawlessly, and just as the 2 Salvadoran pilots saw them, they had all the advantage in the world, coming in from behind and up high. As he finished the split S, Soto shot a few bursts. He hit one plane directly, saw it catch fire, and watched the pilot bail out immediately. Tragically, it was the man who was scared of heights. From about 9,000 feet in the air, he slowly glided down into an active war zone over the border. Safe travels, friend. Ferdinand Soto had recorded the second down plane by any Air Force member in any Central American country ever in the same day. His momentum from the split S had sent him flying past the second plane, his speed only adding to how impressive of a shot he had just hit. He assumed his wingman could handle the second plane, an extremely generous assumption given the history. His wingman could not handle it. In fact, Soto couldn't even find it. He would later learn that their radios had cut out. His wingman had tried to tell him there were 2 more Salvadoran planes approaching from behind, and he had flown away to safety. But Soto didn't have that information now. He was the one being chased by the other Salvadoran plane he knew was in the airspace. If you could have told the Salvadoran pilot who he was dealing with, it's likely he would have bailed out right now. Soto started having fun with this one. Dodging and weaving shots coming in from behind him, he made his move. He'd shown the guy his split S once already, and he began to perform another one to flip the script and get behind him. The Salvadoran pilot recognized and remembered the move and attempted to do the very same thing to avoid losing position. However, this time Soto faked it. He rolled out to the side instead of completing the drop. The Salvadoran couldn't realize what was happening quick enough. He completed his split S full, and now Ferdinand Soto was high above him out to the side. Soto pulled his trigger down. He missed a lot of shots, but he hit a couple, nailing the left wing of the plane and gasping to himself when the thing instantly blew up in the middle of the air. Years later, when describing his third down plane of the day, the third that any member of his Air Force or the ones around him had ever accomplished, this madman's first thought, that's why you depressurize your fuel system. He turned his bird around and flew back home. On the way, he saw a weird blip in the sky. He got a little closer. It was the other pilot, still parachuting down after Soto had caught his plane on fire. The entire dogfight had only lasted long enough for him to descend a few thousand feet. Ferdinand Soto chuckled and went back to his airbase to land his plane. As this war is considered one of the last with true dogfighting tactics, to this day, Ferdinand Soto is still recognized as having the only 3 aerial victories in Central American history. No one else in this war, or any other since, would down a plane with another plane. He achieved all 3 within 8 hours of each other.